Nvidia stock is down almost 12% year to date in 2025 as a result of a multitude of factors, including those new developments from DeepSeek, the Chinese AI development that could potentially lower computing requirements to develop large language models. But Nvidia and the CEO Jensen Huang talked about those issues and why it is actually good news for longer term Nvidia stock investors. So I wanted to share those details with you in this video and highlight what's the latest developments according to the company's management team, which held a conference, an investor conference on March 19th, 2025.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
So Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang said that reasoning includes better answers, and he's talking about reasoning within large language models, which has been the latest upgrade in these large language models, is that they're now able to reason with themselves before they give you an answer, which makes AI more useful, solving more problems, which expands the reach of AI, and of course, from a technology perspective, requires a lot more computation. And if it requires a lot more computation, that means it requires more computing power, which is what NVIDIA supplies to the market. And so that's good news for NVIDIA. And I will say, I don't know if many of my viewers are using AI regularly, ChatGPT and the other models. I will say I've noticed an improvement, a considerable improvement in these AI models over the last 3 months, over the last 6 months, and over the last year. These AI models are getting better and better and better and serving more use cases than is usual than they were able to serve just 6 months ago. And so all of that is great news for NVIDIA because the more effective these AI models become, the more people will use them, and therefore the more computing power will be devoted to these AI models, and more purchases of NVIDIA's products will be required, not only to train the AI models, but also for inferencing. So not only did these developments in reasoning improve AI, but NVIDIA's latest technology, the Blackwell technology, is incredibly good at reasoning. And so they have the right product at the right time, and it's building out AI in the clouds. The investments of all the AI clouds continues to be very, very high, and the demand for computing continues to be extremely high, right? So we've seen over the last few years, NVIDIA CEO use these types of adjectives to describe demand for the company's products. Previously, he said demand was insane, and now I guess extremely high is a little bit of a downgrade from insane, but also the company's revenue is much higher than it was just 6 months ago. They've added roughly $10 billion of revenue to their totals just in the last 6 months, and in the last 12 months it's much more than that. So it remains extremely high. Even at these levels, NVIDIA is sold out for their Blackwell technology. The CEO said that companies are fighting over each other to get their hands on this technology. That's how desired it is. So the CEO went on to say that they're building AI infrastructure not just for the cloud, but building AI infrastructure for the world's enterprise IT. So a lot of attention has been given to how much Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet and Meta platforms and those companies, how much they're spending on capital expenditure on AI, because those are NVIDIA's biggest customers. And it's true, those are critical to NVIDIA's revenues. But it's not just those companies that are building AI. It's also companies like Walmart and Home Depot that are building and require this type of AI to help improve business operations. We've seen just in the last year how much Walmart's been able to improve their business operations. In a business of that size and scale, it was difficult to manage the complexity of a business of that size. But with AI, That removes some of those constraints, those limiting factors for a business like Walmart that has so many moving parts. For a business like Home Depot, right? So many moving parts, big, bulky items. How do you grow that business? How do you improve profit without limiting some of those factors? And AI helps with that. So these businesses are going to become more and more interested in building their AI factories to help their operations. And Nvidia CEO is already seeing that. Then he talks about robotics. And in order for the world to enable robotics, there has to be a bunch of AI infrastructure to create, to teach the robot how to be a robot. Teaching a robot on how to be a robot is much harder than chatbots, right? Because the robot has to manipulate physical things. It has to understand the world physically. And the amount of data you have to train with is gigantic. Gigantic, right? And that's true. If you're a chatbot, you're only working in the digital world. So the amount of data you need, the amount of trading you need is only a fraction of the amount of training that a physical robot needs, right? Like in the Los Angeles area, we have these little robots on wheels that are delivering food. The company's called Serve Robotics, if you haven't heard of it already. And these are moving around in the world on their own, and they need to be able to evaluate everything that's going on around them. They need to evaluate the crosswalk. They need to look at lights and see if it's red or green. They need to see people around them, cars around them, the direction they're moving. All of that requires so much more data and computation to enable those types of services. And those are the types of services, one of the type of services that robotics enables. And so that's a whole new category of growth for Nvidia beyond just these data centers optimized for AI and the spending from Amazon, Microsoft, and Alphabet in these categories. So there's still several catalysts for growth here. And just to remind everyone, Nvidia stock, I still think it's relatively cheap here. It's trading at a forward price to earnings of just 20. And for a company with its growth prospects, with its types of margins, etc., I think it's a great value, and I still have Nvidia stock rated as one of my top 9 stocks to buy right now. Hey everyone, so many of you have been asking about my investing strategy, and I'm excited to announce that I've written a book that's available for sale now that describes my 6-step investing framework for evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.